evening, it's 6 o'clock on Friday, November 11th, 2016. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Mora News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. A strong explosion took place Thursday night in the oil refinery of Balchi, leaving one dead, while 5 other employees were injured. The huge explosion caused the immediate death of 40-year-old Shkoti Mucha and first and second degree burns to the other employees. They were first sent to Fier Hospital when they received the first aid and were later transported to Tirana Hospital. Witnesses said the cause of such strong blast was the explosion of the hydrogen pump valve, which led to a huge fire. Albanian Minister of Energy Damian Gjiknuri went immediately to the oil processing plant, where he declared that the prosecution will shed light in this incident. The doctor of Tirana Hospital says that the condition of 2 of those injured is life-threatening and that their old age is not helping their recovery. The 2 patients, who are in a serious health condition, are 65-year-olds. Meanwhile, the 2 other injured, who are 44 and 53-year-old, are in a more stable condition. The doctor said that the injured have 40% of their body burned and that they are being treated for severe burns. The Minister of Health, Ilir Bekia, visited the injured in the hospital, considering the event to be serious, but the doctors are taking care of the injured. Democratic Party and majority exchange accusations regarding the explosion at the oil refinery in Balch. The Democratic Party suspects that the privatization of the refinery is not made in a transparent manner and that the measures for safety at work are not being implemented. I can assure you that I and Democratic Party will go through the end of this issue. We have our suspicions for the non-transparent way the refinery was privatized. We have suspicions for the profits. Where do the oil refinery's profits go? We also have our suspicions regarding the employees' exploitation. 2 weeks ago, we prepared a request for the establishment of an inquiry commission on this issue. Today's event makes the discovery of this affair necessary, declared the DP chairman. The Vice Prime Minister, who visited the injured in the hospital and expressed condolences to the family of the victim, responded to the DP chairman's accusation, declaring that politicians use such disgraces for political benefits. But at the end, both the Democratic Party and majority gave assurance that they will follow the event and will stand by victims' family and injured. Fier Prosecution has launched an investigation into the explosion in oil refinery in Balch that killed the 40-year-old employee Shkoti Mucha and wounded 5 others. The investigations, which are focused on the offense of violation of safety rules, have begun immediately after the explosion. A prosecutor went at the scene yesterday evening immediately after the explosion, and the representatives of the prosecution returned to the refinery today to continue with the investigations. It is learned that the prosecution had initially ordered a sub-technical expertise to determine the real cause of the explosion, and it has engaged a group of experts. Earlier today, the prosecution continued the interrogation of the injured employees and of company's directors. After the investigations, the prosecution will come up with a conclusion. Sources within the investigation team suggest that the allegation of violations of safety rules at work is the first charge upon which the prosecution has initiated this investigation. The conclusions of the expertise are expected to determine the responsibilities of the managers of the company. Meanwhile, State's Technical and Industrial Inspectorate has also reacted to the event. Experts of the State Technical and Industrial Inspectorate went to the oil refinery and informed that technical regulations were not met. Police have said a malfunction hydrogen valve caused the explosion in the refinery. The inspection team said hydrogen pressure at the valve was 3 times higher than the normal level. The company that administers the oil refinery, the IRTC company, also reacted to the explosion, declaring that the incident was caused by unannounced power interruption, which surprisingly was interrupted 2 times within 3 days. The malfunction of the second power line and also due to a human error during the throw-in work of the hydro cleaning unit. Referring to the Prime Minister's statements for the newly elected President Donald Trump and the recent debates with Greece, Assembly Speaker Ilir Meta says that the credibility of Albania's foreign policy has been violated. We should all look forward. I think this is the message also given after the US elections. We should all be restrained in order to preserve Albania's foreign policy, which has been one of our strong points regarding Albania's potential to be an important stabilizing factor in the Balkans. In this regard, we should strengthen strategic partnership with the US, respecting the elections there, said Mr. Meta. When asked whether the Socialist Movement for Integration will stay in the governing coalition, Meta said, I believe the SMI will make choices based on people's interest, based on country's stability and integration, said Mr. Meta, adding that the country needs more dialogue. The country needs more political dialogue and consensus. We should focus on 5 priorities and the opening of negotiations, he added. When asked about relations with neighbors, the Assembly Speaker had this to say, We are an excellent example of cooperation with our neighbors, and we should act as a factor of stability in the region. Parliamentary Economic Commission discussed today the budget and the fiscal package for the coming year. They were presented by the Minister of Finance and sparked debates between the opposition's members and the Minister. The Democrat MPs considered the increase of salaries and pensions to be a demagogy, but to the Minister of Finance, the 2017 budget provides for a real economic increase. The increase is not enough to cover the increased prices, claimed the former Minister of Finance. In response, the Minister of Finance had this to say: the fund for the increase of salaries in 2009 and 2013 was 3.2 billion lek, or $32 million, but in 2017 the fund will be $100 million, said the minister, adding that 600,000 citizens will benefit from the increase of salaries and pensions. But to the former Minister of Finance, there will not be made a real increase of pensions, and that it is not even their indexing. According to the former minister, the government has abandoned the citizens. The Minister of Finance added that the 2017 budget and the fiscal package will ensure economic growth and well-being for the citizens. The Democrat members abandoned the meeting as a sign of protest after being refused to comment on the Minister of Finance's statements. The 2017 budget is predicted to be reviewed in principle in Parliament on December 1st, and its review article by article is predicted to be made on December 15th. Even though the intensity of rainfalls in the north has significantly dropped, water discharges in Fierza hydropower continue with 670 cubic meters per second. The Albanian Energy Corporation suggests that the situation is moving towards stabilization, and today's water discharges from Vaudeas hydropower plant are halved. Based on the information taken operatively, the flows of Kiri and Jadri rivers have significantly reduced their level compared with yesterday. Consequently, but in combination with the reduced temperatures, there is noticed a reduction of the water level at Buna River and a reduction of natural inflows at Drini Cascade, but the meteorological predictions speak of a comeback of intense rainfalls in the evening and overnight Friday in the north of the country, which can affect the growth of inflows in Drini Cascade. In order to better manage the flows, the Albanian Energy Corporation is working with all of its capacity to produce about 24,000 gigawatt electricity. The current energy reserves of the country have reached 1,180 gigawatts. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Eno, and on behalf of our news, thank you and good night.